had my first Coke when I came to the US 10 years ago. I had never had a Coca-Cola before. This pregnancy journey has taught me that entrepreneurship is way easier. I've said no to more than 50 speaking engagements this year. I've been an angel investor for a while, invested in companies like SpaceX. And the moment I decided I was burnt out and I'm going to shut my startup down, and then he's like, I need to talk to you. For a moment, I was like, oh my God, is he breaking up with me? What's going to happen? It's basically life, You have to wake up in the morning and do a good ritual every day. Hey everyone, I'm Arjita. Welcome to a Mindful-Of podcast.
Arjita, do you want to give your quick introduction?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you, Lekhana and Brandon, for having me. Really excited to be here. I'm Arjita Sethi. I have been an entrepreneur all my life. Started my first company at 16 in India. Reached about 100,000 people, worked with the United Nations and UN food programs and UN peacekeeping missions. And then I realized it was a brick and mortar business. It was a physical business. I couldn't read scale. And that's when I had heard Steve Jobs' epic speech. And I was like, yeah, let's do Silicon Valley and create a business that reaches millions and not just hundreds and thousands. Moved to San Francisco, got married, and basically built my edtech company with my partner, and that got venture backed. We reached 40,000 people in 12 different countries. We're doing really well. Great investors from Silicon Valley everywhere around. Did our research in Finland, got a 91% in pedagogy score, and became one of the semifinalists for the Elon Musk's $15 million X Prize. And then I burnt out. And I realized, wow, I cannot do this. How do people really do this? Same thing for my partner. And that's when I built New Founder School, which is a space for unconventional entrepreneurs to build companies, but mindfully taking care of themselves and at their own pace, and realizing that there is no blueprint for entrepreneurship. Besides that, I've been an angel investor for a while, invested in companies like SpaceX and many other companies. I sit on the advisory board of Nasdaq's Entrepreneurial Center, and I'm a professor of entrepreneurship at San Francisco State University. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So Arjita, like, what do you see? So you said you burnt out, right? What did you learn after that? I'm pretty sure, burnout is really hard. I think as a content creator myself, I faced that burnout. Like, how did you get over that? And I'm pretty sure it's a very long process. Like, coming out of like content creation itself is hard. So how long did that journey take for you?
I think it's a journey of like grief. Like, you're in denial first. The moment I decided I was burnt out and I'm going to shut my startup down, and we decided, both me and my partner decided. I remember 2019, we were on a work trip and we halted over at Paris, just had 2-3 days. And he's like, I really need to talk to you. And at that time I was so burnt out, but I was like, yeah, my partner wants to do this. Let me push and, keep pursuing. We were raising our next round of funding. We'd secured some investors, everything. The first round was successful. We proved our metrics doing the second round. And then he's like, I need to talk to you. For a moment, I was like, oh my God, is he breaking up with me? What's going to happen? And I still remember that scene from the cafe where we were sitting and he's like, see, this marriage is more important for me than the startup. And it's beginning to, really cause a lot of burnout for both of us. We work 20-hour days. We barely take care of ourselves, and emotionally and mentally, I'm not doing well. How are you doing? And he broached that topic, which was phenomenal. And that was the first time when openly I admitted that I am exhausted. I am tired, and we are winning. Like, it's not that we're doing a bad job. We are doing a great job with the company, but this is not how we want to run a company. So that was the first moment of realization back in 2019 and in September. And then COVID hit 6 months later.
Mhm.
And we had thought, now we'll travel, we'll give some time, space, all of that. But with COVID hit, we were stuck in this tiny 1-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, left to deal with our burnout and overwhelm without being able to go out, pursuing anything, meeting any people. So we moved out to the woods for about 3 years. And in Northern California, we got this amazing house surrounded by redwoods, and it was very cathartic. It was a difficult journey. But the thing is, I think I just started looking for my next project. The brain, once it has worked so much, you just feel you can just take something else. Maybe the project was wrong. There's nothing wrong with me. Maybe this idea was wrong. If I do something else, it'll be fine. That's not the case. The problem was me. I needed to heal, and Anshul needed to heal. And that's when I think, spent good about 2-3 years on just understanding our patterns. We're still doing that. And really peeling layer by layer of our identity that we had got attached to. I think there was this one definition of success we were sold on, and we began to question that. So we got into Ayurveda and yoga and a lot of wellness, meditation, got deep into it. And that's why our next company is called Shanti, which means peace. And we're building it slow. We don't want to raise money. We don't want to launch overnight. We're building it slow, taking it slow. But I still feel I get into that pattern every time. So it's work. Every day we are humans. Every day we wake up, we make a choice. Sometimes it's good, bad. And we still get up the next day and do that choice again. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I would say it's still in progress.
Right.
And I've realized, I've accepted, I'm at that stage where that acceptance has come that, hey, I don't need to do this and I'll be okay.
That's an interesting take. What you said about your pattern, because most people, they want to speed up more. And so it sounds like you are already speeding up and you have to kind of pull yourself back, and it's like, hey, slow down. And your pattern is to like go fast, but you want to slow down. And with a lot of people, it's the opposite. My question about that is, so your husband came to you first with that realization. What if he never came to you and said that? Where would you be now, or what do you think?
We would have been very successful Silicon Valley entrepreneurs. We would have been burnt out. We wouldn't be doing well emotionally, mentally, but we would have been successful there. But successful according to who? That's the question. What would have that success costed me? So, but I think we both are pretty intuitive. We've not been scared ever to have difficult conversations. So I think we would have had that conversation pretty much in that realm, because we both were experiencing it. And it's not just that one conversation. After that, we've had multiple conversations, which are very difficult to have with your co-founder and with your partner, especially if you're doing both. So, and that's why I enjoy building with him. That's been the reason that we are comfortable going through grief, loss, and success together. And we know that, we can grow out of it and we learn. So yeah, we would have been okay. Humans are great at adapting. We would be great at any decision we would have taken. But at what cost? I think I like this zone better that I'm in.
Yeah. Talking about partners being in business together, Arjita. So what are some tips or some, ways that you kind of work things out?
Wow, that's a loaded question. So it's first step, don't do it. Everybody is not supposed to do it. If you decide to do it, put your egos aside. because this is not about you versus them. You both will win, you both will lose, and you're in it together. But thirdly, you need to understand what type of personality you are. For me and Anshul, we met over our startup idea. That's how we met. Like our ingrained thing is to build things together. That's not the story for everyone else. Everybody wants their space. Everybody wants, a different life as well. They want that distinction in personal, professional life. Anytime we sit together, we talk about building, but it's very much life and business integration for us. When I started building New Founder School, I shared the idea with Anshul. It was about unconventional entrepreneur because I felt I was unconventional. So it was part of my life. I wanted to create a space for the type of entrepreneurs that I didn't see and would have been great. And Anshul supported me. Right now, also, after practicing wellness for like 4 years, 4.5, 5 years now, we realized that we want to bring it to the world, the things that we've learned. So it's very much part of our life. So it was never, so that's something, if you want to share a part of your life, we are very closed off from our personal life. We don't share much of our behind the scenes personal life. Neither Anshul nor I do that ever. Like online, you will not see that. So that was a big no-no for us. So anytime if you think about creating something with your partner, you have to see if you can go ahead and if the foundation of your relationship can be highlighted in something that you are creating. If that is, you're just an engineer and an operations person coming together, it's not going to work out. You have to go, because your life will get involved. There is no, I'm going to keep my personal life separate and that doesn't happen in work. And you need to understand something very hard. That is, your success is together. Have a lot of fun. But if you have separate jobs, your sad days and bad days are different. So you can support each other. But if you're running a business, your sad days, bad days are together. How do you deal with that when you both have lost? When you both have got rejected from an investor, a big customer said no to you after signing an LOI. How do you deal with that? Do you have a tribe? Do you have network? So having your personal space as well is very important. I think that's another tip. But other than that, I think it's luck. I don't have a prescription. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. And I hope it works out if you've taken that plunge.
Mm-hmm. Another very important follow-up question to that is, what do you talk on date nights? Like, apart from...
I like this question.
Oh, wow. Our conversations are very intense. Yeah, our date nights are very, very intense. We would take a song that has impacted us and we would analyze that together. We would take some Sufi couplet and sit and analyze it together. We would have read a philosophy essay and we'll sit together and analyze it together. And sometimes we agree and sometimes we don't. And we know when to walk away when we don't and agree to disagree. But the first 5 years of our marriage, that was hard. That was really hard because we were building a startup and I had built a company before. Anshul was really successful in Silicon Valley. He was building games and for millions of people working at Zynga and all of that. We both thought we are awesome, and we both should get the limelight, and we would continuously fight. Wait, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. But I think once your first endeavor fails, you realize you're not that special as you thought. You're just two individuals. So it kind of humbles you. And then you want to partner more. So I think date night is more about now discussing ideas and minds and getting to know each other on a deeper level. So yeah, like we've dissected probably every song that we've loved, why we've loved that, the words that he says, and we've heard that on repeat. That's what we would do. There's a couplet on one of the Vedas text. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is outrageous. How could they do that? So those are our conversations. And I know we're at a point where we know each other really intensely. Like, I don't know his favorite color. If you ask me what's his favorite color or song, I don't know that. But if you ask me what is his ideology about that, I know that. What would his take be about this idea? I know that. I don't know how many clothes he has in his wardrobe. He doesn't know about that about me. What does he shop? What do I shop? We don't know that about each other. But ideologies, mindsets, or values, I would know that about him. And we've been married now for 10 and a half years. So.
Yeah, that's very unique. Most of the time I don't hear couples respond that way when you say, what does date night look like? Or what do you talk about? And you said, like, I don't know the superficial things, but I know the deep underlying things that make him answer the way that he answers. And that's pretty amazing.
He would still get my coffee wrong. Anytime I tell him, get me coffee, he's like, can you get me exactly what you want? It's the same order. I have not changed in 10 years. But if you tell him, okay, can you play something Arjita's feeling really low? He would know exact playlist, song by song. If you ask him, okay, what would Arjita write about this? He would know exactly what I would write about, what I would say. So, and I love that. So.
It's awesome. Yeah. So kind of going back, like peeling back, 2019 was when you started your wellness journey, and going even further back, like when you were like 15-year-old, that's when you started your entrepreneurship journey, right? So if there was another Arjita out there, a 15-year-old who is very entrepreneurial, just like you, what would you tell her? And what would you do things that you wouldn't have done leading to that burnout?
So back in India, I was very much into wellness. My grandmom was into Ayurveda. My granddad was into yoga. And since my dad was in the army, the first 7 years I stayed with my grandparents. So it was ingrained in me. Daily meditation and daily Ayurveda practices and daily yoga. It was very normal. And then my mom stayed back in Delhi. However, my dad would, go around because, again, he would get posted to random places. So after that, I moved in with my mom, who was very much high on wellness journey as well, like eating healthy and making sure. So I joke with Anshul that I had my first Coke when I came to the US 10 years ago. I had never had a Coca-Cola before. I never had McDonald's before because it just didn't exist. So yeah, exactly. Right. So this is it was very new for me. But that's why I never felt sick, or I never, had any issues. I had a weird thing, a complicated illness when I was really young. And I think that's what made my mom really careful about what I eat, what I consume. And it helped me. My health was amazing. In India, I was never sick after that. I always ate healthy. It was great. Always watched what I ate, taking care of myself, meditation, and all of that. So I don't know, somehow Silicon Valley did something to me, and I came here and I'm like, yeah, everybody's eating pizza and working 20 hours and I can also do that. So let me do that. But back in India at 15, what would I not do? I don't think I would exchange anything, because it's not a prescription, right? It's not something that if like Naval says it the best way. He says, if I do exactly the same things that I did in my life, I would not be able to replicate the outcomes that happened in my life, because there are so many other qualifying factors. And for me to go back and analyze what would have happened, I don't think I can, because there are innumerable possibilities. If I wouldn't have been an entrepreneur, I wouldn't have met Anshul on a Facebook Messenger talking about a startup idea that would lead me to come to Silicon Valley and build an edtech company. I mean, it's wild how things happened. And then that's why I don't analyze. I don't retrospect that much in my life. I introspect a lot, but I don't retrospect. If things have happened, that's how they were supposed to be. And that's what has led me here. But if I go back to my Silicon Valley days, I would have really loved somebody telling me that I did not have to follow just that one definition of success. I wanted more examples. And I did, like Patagonia's founder, Yvon Chouinard. But there's this one-off person who does entrepreneurships differently and successfully, but everybody else doesn't. And if you have to be successful, you have to do the grind. These have tos and shoulds somewhere got me distracted, I think. And had that not been the case, I wouldn't have burnt out and not created Shanti. So I think that also led me to my journey of, understanding where my roots are, what I need to do. But that 15-year-old girl, I would just give a message to her that, wait, you're going to be interesting soon. It's okay. We don't have friends at high school and school, and people think you read too many books, and you talk about Gandhi a lot. I used to talk about Gandhi a lot, still do, but I would just tell her, hang on, you'll get more interesting to people.
What was that transition like? Actually, I have so many questions. I don't even know where to start. You hit on so many topics, but what was the transition like? I was going to ask you what got you started on the entrepreneurship journey, but it sounds like it's always been ingrained since you were young.
Yeah.
What was the transition in between, the 15-year-old girl reading Gandhi biographies and going to Silicon Valley?
It was amazing, Brandon. It was, it was my Disneyland or Hogwarts. No, I should say Hogwarts, not Disneyland. It was my Hogwarts. I had the best time, even though I was burned out and all of that. I had the best time, and I would recommend every 20-something-year-old to go there and experience it and immerse themselves in it. It is such a if you're a creator or an entrepreneur, that is your mecca. You have to go there and really understand what a creator DNA is, what a founder DNA is. There's something special about a place where you can go to a random coffee shop and say, oh, there sits Instacart CEO. Hi, let's talk. And he talks to you for like 30 minutes at a random coffee shop or a tea shop. That thing, oh, I worked on this idea, it did not work out. That's okay. You'll build something else. What? I'm not a failure? Really? Yeah, that's cool. You already built a startup and it's a phenomenal experience. I don't think people should miss it because it builds and shapes your personality to do hard things. It trains you the resilience that you would learn from Silicon Valley if you're an entrepreneur. Like if you're in theater, I would say go to New York, go to London. But if you want to be an entrepreneur or creator, go to Silicon Valley, spend a year or two, like really immerse yourself. It's a different vibe, very different energy. Yes, there are less women, there are less people of color, there are less immigrants, all of that. I check box, all of them, these criteria. But even then I was accepted. People wanted to know what I brought to the table. And that didn't happen in India too much, me giving my opinion and people really valuing it was very rare. So it was such a great transition. The first 9 months, I would say, were very difficult because of my visa situation, because I was on an immigrant visa. And at that time, we were not even allowed to work. But then I switched to student visa and did my master's and everything. Oh my God, I took every opportunity I could be given and I enjoyed it and I loved it. I would be the first one on every networking event and the last one to leave that networking event.
Yeah.
I would make sure when I came to the US, I had not even heard of LinkedIn. And Anshul told me, my partner, he said, you don't even have a LinkedIn, really? I was like, okay, let me just go on a spree. I'm going to know everyone in this networking room, add everybody to my LinkedIn. So it just gave me it just made me appreciate hustle in a very different way. Like you can work hard, but the hustle to really build something, I think it's a beautiful space.
Yeah. Would you say networking played a powerful, what was that?
Go ahead. I was just saying that Brandon is similar to you, Arjita. He's in every networking event possible.
You already know what I was about to ask.
I don't do that now. I used to do that. I've slowed down a lot now.
you already knew where I was about to go with that. I was about to ask her literally that thing. Like, what impact do you think networking played on just everything that has happened to you? Just being the first at the event and the last to leave. How powerful was that? Or was it a waste of time? Which one was it?
No. It is the most powerful thing. I would say, yes, you can systematize networking. Great. You can have your templates, whatever. But again, it's more art than science. And the effort is never wasted at all. Because today I know I don't need fancy marketing. I do not need, to build a resume or anything. I know I will have work for the rest of my life because of the network that I've created. I will sustain and I will do the work that I love. And that is because of the network. I have had people back me, give me TEDx talk opportunities in San Francisco, get me to be keynote speakers at the biggest impact conferences, get me awards at the biggest impact conferences. All of them came from my network. If I wouldn't have spoken to them, my first job in the US was from my professor, who just loved the fact that I was hustling so much and networking so much and everything. And it was her company. She was the founder of the company and she gave me that job. So I think, and people generally discount, who's going to network with a professor? They don't know that much and everything. And I did with every professor, every person at my university. And so many of them wrote my green card recommendation letters. And I had 25 green card recommendation letters.
Oh, wow.
I did not know that was a lot. I got to know that from my lawyer. And she said, who are the 5 people that can write? And I was like, you need only 5? And she just said casually, how many can you bring? I was like, 25 to 50. And she was like blown away. And this is all networking. I tell people I have a friend in every state and in every country in the world because of that networking. And I will never be out of opportunities. And same thing is here. Anybody who's in my inner circle, I will vouch for them. I will shower them with opportunities and everything. Networking is one of the most powerful tools. And I'm an introvert. So it's not something that only extroverts can do. Yeah.
Yeah. Brandon, you had a thought on that?
Oh, she said she's an introvert. And I was going to say, I don't know. You don't seem like an introvert, but I classify myself as an introvert too. And people ask me, they say, are you? And I'm like, well, I guess networking has made me an ambivert in its way, because it's not just talking to people and meeting people, but that helps. But you also learn a lot from networking. It's almost like a micro masterclass. Every person you talk to, they're going to ask you questions and you're going to know the answer, or you're not going to know the answer. And then you're going to go and learn the answer. If you didn't know it then, when you left, you probably will know the answer when you leave. It improves your communication. So it's not just like you're talking to people. Like, there's just so many benefits that you get from networking that you don't really see, because there are topics and things that I've learned about from networking that I would not have known about otherwise. It's literally like going to college almost. For free. Absolutely. Well, some of these events, they have ticket prices, but still it's a much cheaper alternative than in college.
Yeah.
If I had to
as a struggling entrepreneur, I realized, okay, I'll pay $25. I'll get the whole pizza home and it'll be dinner for both.
And they have food.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
We'll compensate that way. So it's worth $25. So
yeah. Well, if it wasn't networking, I think we wouldn't be doing this podcast too. So
yeah. And I don't know. I mean, Lekhana, you would probably agree with me. Brandon, it was so hard when Anshul said, go to this random event. There's this event that is happening. Go meet people. I'm like, all my life in India, I was told, don't talk to strangers. And now suddenly you're telling me, go into a room filled with strangers. And this is just the opposite of my entire upbringing. How do I change that? And it took a while, but oh my God, networking is so much fun. It's also, I love the fact that, Brandon, you talked about the masterclass thing, because I have met so many interesting people and learned about interesting stories. Like, I used to think I'm open-minded, but it always challenges me and it makes me realize, wow, what a perspective. It's made me more open to listening to opposing thoughts that I wouldn't agree with, but when they put their life perspective, and I'm like, of course, definitely, that makes sense. That's a great rationale. And if I wouldn't have done networking, I think I would have been so limited in my thought process and accepting of so many different perspectives.
Yeah. And it's a very different community too. I mean, in regular life, people don't like to be challenged on their beliefs. And when I go to these events, like these people, they like you better when you challenge them. It seems like they want to hear the other side. They want you to say, I don't agree with that. It's not so closed. It's definitely a different mindset and perspective of the people that you meet.
Yeah, I think transitioning a little bit to becoming a mother soon, has entrepreneurship taught you anything?
Oh, wow. Well, this pregnancy journey has taught me that entrepreneurship is way easier. I don't know what I was whining about when I was saying, oh my God, this is hard, this is hustling. I mean, it's been a whole journey of losing control completely. And entrepreneurship is like that. You don't know how your days are going to look like. The next day, something might fall off. You might win a jackpot, a great deal comes through, all of that. And you're constantly trying to control, build systems around it. And that's, I think it's good that I was an entrepreneur. So I went into the pregnancy phase being an entrepreneur, but you cannot control so much how you're going to feel, what's it going to be. And there's no blueprint. Every human, every woman feels differently during the pregnancy. Everybody's circumstances are different. Everybody's story is different. Why they're doing this is different. But I think it has made me way more okay with being slow. I am all right saying no to things. I was telling Anshul the other day, do you know I've said no to more than 50 speaking engagements this year? And I would have never thought I would have had that FOMO of, oh my God, my face should be there, this conference, that and I was okay letting it go, because at the end of the day, that's not important for me anymore. Suddenly my priorities have shifted. And it has given me so much clarity. I think pregnancy is feeding entrepreneurship more than entrepreneurship pregnancy, because it has given me so much focus. For me, if I'm spending time with someone, it has to be value. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it anymore. It just is not going to happen. For me, understanding that I don't have to be distracted, it is now coming naturally. Otherwise, I would always have my hand in 2-3 different projects at a time. This exciting thing, that exciting. I don't care. So I think it's not just entrepreneurship feeding pregnancy, it's both the ways. And I'm really excited for this new phase, because I've heard the way a mom's brain works is again on what's the most important thing, let me get that done. So that means even better at those skills, which is going to be phenomenal. So I'm excited about it. I think thankfully, because I have been an entrepreneur all my life who also failed, which is great for me, because had I not failed, it would have been a very hard journey, because you're constantly failing. Every time you're like, oh, I'll wake up in the morning and I'll do these 10,000 things, and your body decides, no, today you'll be nauseous. Wait a second, I have a plan for you. I didn't just tell you about it, but that's what you're going to do. So, and I fail that day and not show up for my team or anything. So I think just being okay, because I have failed so much in my entrepreneurship journey, it has made me okay with that. I am all right if I miss a deadline, if my team is not able to do something. And it's made me more calm. Generally, I've heard that it gets harder for women to go back to jobs and everything. And in my case, I'm lucky. I don't have to think about it. I have a business, I can work on my own terms. So again, part of it is privilege that, I get to do this. And then I have my tribe, my parents and Anshul's parents coming here to take care of me and the baby and him. But it's made me see life in a whole different way and enjoy life, like really savor it. Even the suffering part of it is phenomenal, because I've realized I can endure a lot more than I used to think. Like for a simple headache, I would pop in a pill. And now if my back is hurting for weeks, I'm like, yeah, part of the process. It's okay.
You become equanimous.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've reached
I
enlightenment
think
through pregnancy.
exactly. Anshul says that. He's like, oh my God, women reach enlightenment just through this process. I see you every day as a different human being. He says we men need to be sadhus and sages and meditate to kind of get that. Look at you every day reaching the next level of enlightenment. I'm like, okay, that's great. I didn't think of it that way, but yeah, he says that too.
It's amazing. Yeah. So I think we're almost at the end of the podcast. So one last question would be, what do you think about AI and entrepreneurship going forward? And what do you see the future of entrepreneurship?
I think I see two very clear trends in entrepreneurship, and maybe it is AI with the combination of also immersive tech coming in, also with the combination of COVID happening, all of that. There are two trends, and both are absolutely valid. There's this book by Carl Honoré, and he talks about maintaining your pace, which means
what
if
is
you
it
want to
called?
go fast, in praise of slowness.
In praise of slowness. Okay.
It's a beautiful book, and he has an amazing TED talk as well, and really great book. I've read it now. I don't even know how many times. The other book I would say is The Creative Way by Rick Rubin. That is something. And then there's The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. These are three books that I see as the new age entrepreneurship books, new age. The old age are still Eric Ries, Lean Startup, Peter Thiel, 0 to 1. All of those are still there. Hard Things About Hard Things. Those three I would consider traditional startup, traditional entrepreneurship. But these three would be the new age entrepreneurship, which is thoughtful and slow. Yes, the bad elements would always be there. Jobs may not go. Transitions might occur. Industries might change. Ideas would evolve. People will have to be reskilled. Yes, I'm not here to talk about that because I think there's enough noise about that already, and people are doing that research, which is needed to be done. But let's talk about what opportunities this has for entrepreneurship, because I think we're for the first time going to see entrepreneurs who are bootstrapped and building $1 million companies. For the first time, we would see entrepreneurs from the remotest parts of the world or tier 2, tier 3 cities building companies. We're going to see entrepreneurs building slowly and not hustling fast and doing things at their own pace. We are going to see creators become entrepreneurs, which was never the case. There always had to be a middleman to sell your art, sell your book. But that industry is going to pick up. And both these paths, either you hustle or you go slow and steady, whichever path you take, I think now is the time where there is this choice, which did not exist before. You needed to go to Silicon Valley and you needed to raise millions of dollars to build the smallest plugin, I remember. And now it doesn't matter. You could be anywhere. I see creators creating communities and they're monetizing and making $1 million just by their communities. Who would have ever thought that would be a business model? I see graphic designers using AI to their capabilities, like the best of their capabilities, and serving multiple clients. Otherwise, a graphic designer would get a job and work at a company and have limited earning. So becoming that freelancer and being owners of your skill, that is amazing. So it's just the beginning. We are just scratching the surface of it. But I think now is the time for entrepreneurs to ask which path I want to pursue. That is an essential question with AI, with immersive tech, and with remote work. I cloud them together. And also, we're at the cusp of so many different technologies that are coming in. But I think it is now a very important thing to ask every entrepreneur, if you're helping or supporting creators and entrepreneurs, what value do you want to create in the world? And generally, traditionally for entrepreneurs, the question used to be, what does the customer want? And you always have to do interviews and do that. But creators are not like that. They build and create because they love creation. And we were taking them away from that and saying, build for money, build for monetization, build for people. This is the first time we can say, build for yourself, build something of value, and you will be able to monetize. That is enough. Follow your passion. So I've not seen that in the last 18 years of being an entrepreneur in my life. This is the first time that is happening. People taking control of what does it mean for them to create or build. And I think it is a great opportunity. Even if you have a job, you should build something on the side. You should try, fail, but try.
Very interesting. Yeah, I truly believe that. Yeah, I mean, I think that kind of makes it into like let's say there's an engineer, like software engineers too. So you're saying that they can also build something on the side, and you never know what's gonna take off, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's no race, right? At this point, being first to market is great, but you don't need to be the only one in market. The time that there can just be one monopoly is not going to last forever. It's going to be, everybody can have their own niche. You can have 100 people that you serve, and that might be enough for you. There's this book by Hemant Taneja on, I'm forgetting the title, and it's all about AI, how AI is going to create niche businesses. What was the name of the book? But it's by Hemant Taneja. Wait, I'm going to see it right away and see which book it is. Because that was the first book I think I read 4 years ago. Oh, Unscaled. That's the name of the book.
Oh, that's on my list. I need to move it up now.
And he is the general partner at General Catalyst. So it's like one of the biggest VC firms. For him to write the fact that there are going to be niche businesses for AI, he saw this trend 5 years ahead. It is a phenomenal book. Everybody should read it. It's going to create a lot of positive energy around people, especially when you think about all the, hey, somebody's going to steal my art, somebody's going to steal this, somebody's going to take that away, I'm going to become redundant. We are not. Again, our tolerance for ambiguity is very high. That's how we've thrived as humans. This is our history. We're going to adapt, and we're going to create new things.
It's true. Brandon, you have any other questions?
I do, but that will make this podcast go on for 3 more hours. So I'm just going to stop. I'm going to process everything that you've said, everything that's stuck in my mind so far, because there's been so much knowledge that has been dropped. This is pretty much, you said you've been invited to TED Talks, and I see why, because this has pretty much been a TED Talk.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And Arjita, where can people find you and tell us a little bit about Shanti too.
Oh, yeah. So Shanti is for any busy professional. The point of it was when Anshul and I were on our wellness journey, we realized that there were meditation apps and there were sleeping apps. And then there was this nutritionist who would tell you what to eat. And then there is gym and the yoga class. And everybody hooks onto or latches onto one thing. Hey, I'm doing yoga and I'm going to be fit. I'm eating healthy. I'm going to be fit. I'm taking control of measuring my sleep and, taking control. I'm going to be fit. But it's basically life, you have to wake up in the morning and do a good ritual every day throughout the day, whether it is sleep or meditation or movement or food. And when we are busy, it gets hard to do it. So we go for a Zumba class or a yoga class and just feel good about that. So we wanted to build a space where it would take about 5 minutes daily for busy professionals or 10 minutes daily for busy professionals to practice one habit every day. One day it could be movement, other day it could be nutrition, other day it could be sleep or self-care or meditation or journaling. But they did not have to go to 7 different apps. It's one place for holistic life. So you can, and it's according to your body type, because every individual is different. There's this fascinating fact when I was doing my yoga teacher training, and now Anshul's about to finish his, where we read that yoga is supposed to be done in solitude. You're not supposed to be in a yoga class and be doing that, because it's a mindful activity. It's not the physical poses, the asanas that you do. It's how intentional you are about those physical poses or the asanas. And we are not okay being alone. We are scared. We want to do it in a class, accountability and consistency and all of that. So we wanted to change that paradigm a little bit. And also there's a lot of noise around holistic wellness. So we wanted to bring the element of science. So I would say 98%, 99% of the practices are backed by science. Research has been done. So you know where they're coming from, why you're doing this, what is the purpose of it. So yeah, that's what Shanti is. 5 minutes daily ritual based on your life and based on your body type, but you do it alone by yourself and spend some time more mindfully with you. And you can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn. Those are 2 channels that I am most active on. And yeah, that's about it.
So, yeah, thank you so much for being on our podcast. We really enjoyed this conversation, and it was a lot of knowledge.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Lekhana and Brandon, for having me. This was amazing. I've not had someone ask me such questions. Generally, it's like how to raise money and how, to talk to customers. What are your tips on that? So this has been an interesting conversation, and I already see how different this podcast is going to be. And if these are the conversations you're having, it's going to bring a lot of value to so many people. They're going to see a different side of humans. So thanks for that initiative. Great job on that.